All right, this is Brent Porcio of TopVelocity.net. I'm doing a pitching analysis here of Ian, and I'm going to pair him up with a Japanese pitcher, Asao. This is like my 5th analysis with him, and I still can't pronounce his name. But I'm going to go with Asao or Japanese pitcher. So, all right, let's take Ian into his leg lift. So we can see here, Ian comes straight up with the leg. We don't see any hip movement or any forward movement here. Even as the lift leg comes down, not much of a weight shift. So he's pretty balanced up here. Now, what you'll see with hard throwers is as their lift leg comes up, they are already starting moving forward. What that does is 2 things. As their lift leg comes up, because they're moving forward, it'll tuck back or pull back or close off towards the drive leg, so that knee starts pointing, to third base or beyond. And same with the foot, and that exposes that front hip and allows us to lead with hips. Now, this does a few things. Now, we know that it's critical for us to be able to generate as much force through the drive leg. It's critical that we keep our hips closed, because when our hips open, it then starts to torque the drive leg, knee, and ankle, and then that's going to affect force production because the ankles are being twisted against themselves. So we don't want to open too early. Another thing is if we can prevent our hips from slamming open or flying open like a car door or a door just before front foot strike, then we get more application time to then rotate the hips as quick as we can, and that's going to then create more hip rotation and then more hip to shoulder separation. The other thing as well is when the leg comes back, it also, as the drive leg begins to do its job, as we move into the load and then move into our launch phase, triple extension, if the lift leg has been tucked back during this, it's like I said from that last scenario, it's then going to fly open even harder and faster at the end. So if we don't do that, say if we just lift it and keep the knee to the dugout or straight to third base, then it's not going to want to, as we start to build speed forward, it's not going to want to fly open at the last second. And that's really critical, that flying open, because it really kind of helps us finish triple extension. I don't emphasize it much. I probably need to talk about it a little bit more, but I don't want to emphasize it much because then I'm afraid everyone is going to jump on that bandwagon and then going to forget about triple extension. So I'm always trying to keep 3x is the main focus, is the keystone of the approach, because it really has to be the main focus. But there are some other key components, key issues or factors in the delivery that would also help us to be able to achieve triple extension in the front foot strike and create that hip rotation. So, but like I said, it's just something good to bring up here. So there's many different reasons for the lift leg, closing the lift leg off. So we can see here that our Japanese pitcher here has got a little bit more forward momentum, that his head is inside his drive leg. We can see here that it's slightly inside, but he's not, the hip is not out leading as well as Ian is here, and we could just see that in the leg lifts. As the Japanese pitcher's leg was coming up, we could see he was obviously moving forward. As Ian lift leg was moving up, he really wasn't going anywhere. Okay, so Coach Robo on the site, it made a great point. I've always said we got to get going as fast as possible, as early as possible, but he's made the point to say that let's just think of it as moving sooner. Let's move sooner. Start moving sooner. So, it's always better to kind of use some different terminology, because it makes our brains kind of shift our perception a little bit, and then it helps us grasp what we're really trying to do here. So think of it that way. You want to start moving your body mass sooner in your delivery, and that would be definitely in your hips, that your center of gravity. That's what we want moving sooner, so we can see that here with our Japanese pitcher. Okay, so that's just something you need to work on, Ian, as well. So let's move the Japanese pitcher in the load. So we can see as his lift leg starts, as he starts to move into the load, it's kind of a controlled fall. He starts to pick up speed, but he stays strong on the drive leg and make sure that knowing that he's strong, that force vector is following that front hip. He likes to extend to keep himself closed, but you can see that his body mass is moving as quickly as his lift leg is coming down, and that's important because then that will prevent the front leg from flying open too early. So then when we get into the load position, he gets the force vector perfectly in line. He has some speed in his delivery. He's set up for his launch phase, and he's completely closed off. That lift leg is still at third base. In a great position here, and well off the rubber. Let's take Ian into that load position. So you can see as his lift leg's coming down, not moving as quickly or as early or as soon as the Japanese pitcher here. So force vector is still vertical. So he's going to have to open up early. So we can see starting to reach and open up. He gets his force vector in line a little late. You can see he's got a lot of his weight on his forward to his front leg. He's already starting to open. He's killed some flexion in his drive leg. So he's really not in an explosive load position. Let's see what happens here. We'll see how much of an athlete is if he's able to recover from this. But look at the difference here. See how he's loaded back, kind of like a cat before it's about to pounce on his prey. You can see he's in a great position, weight sitting on his thighs back here, force vector in line to move in that linear direction. All his guns are loaded, his hips and shoulders are closed, and he's just ready to launch. We can see that here. We don't see that here with Ian. We can see he's stiff on his back leg. He's about to put down his front leg because all that weight's forward, and he's already starting to throw the ball. You know, the Japanese pitcher's shoulders completely relaxed. Ian's shoulders are already are activated and already starting to throw. So let's see what Ian is able to do as he moves. Well, let's first start with the Japanese pitcher. So here is our launch sequence. So we can see then he starts to move into triple extension. That knee extends, that ankle extends, and then that front foot strike, that hip flexor gets through it right there. So he gets that triple extension just at front foot strike. And then as he continues to stabilize more, the hips completely rotate through. Beautiful triple extension. We know he's explosive. He's a good foot or more off the rubber. And that because he got that hip rotation, that explosive hip rotation, front foot strike, it separated his hips from his shoulders and gave him some excellent cord torque here to then multiply that power, the force from that stride up his body into his shoulders and then arm and then into the ball. So let's take Ian into that same launch phase. So you can see, like I said, he's just at a point where he's going to put down and he's still in the rubber. So he's pushed off with the ankle a little bit. He definitely got the extension in the knee, but he got it too early. So ultimately he does not achieve triple extension before front foot strike or at front foot strike. So we can see his hips are completely closed. So we have to wait for his hips to come through, which now they're going to come through after front foot strike. Or completely come through after front foot strike. So he settles, rotate a little bit. Now they're starting to come through, and then they're through here. So I'd say we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he's through here, and so he's got a little bit of separation. And it's because he's got a little bit of speed. He's got a bit of an explosive movement coming through his drive leg, not where it needs to be. Let's say he was more of a 2x than a 3x. But you know, all in all, if you can just learn to load better, to really ultimately hit your load better, line up that force vector with some good flexion in your drive leg, so then we can hit a powerful explosive triple extension. It looks like you're athletic enough, even at where you are right now, to really immediately, just through some mechanical adjustments, see some velocity pretty quickly. So as you can see, if you don't get the hip to shoulder separation that the Japanese pitcher here has here, then you're not going to get. I mean, you look at this. You get for your limited hip to shoulder separation, you get some decent external rotation, but you know, external rotation doesn't tell us everything. What tells us everything is external rotation for trunk tilt. So let's see the Japanese pitcher externally rotated, some good forward trunk tilt with that front leg stabilization. So that's one of the key things you want to look for. I mean, I think the Japanese pitcher has average forward trunk tilt. He has average external rotation, above average front leg stabilization. So we can see that front leg is almost completely extended at this point. And that's what allows him to really then rocket into that explosive, quick internal rotation while he keeps that front leg stable. And we can see Ian here, your front leg stays strong, you don't move into extension, and you finish not bad. So what I feel, Ian, is you're athletic enough, and you've got some decent enough mechanics here. If you can just learn to implement this load position better, focusing on your force vector, focusing on your stride speed and power, specifically into trip extension, and achieving that explosive trip extension for front foot strike, you're going to amp up your velocity that good 5, maybe 10 miles an hour, maybe 5 to 8, maybe more realistic to you. I don't know how old you are. I don't know where you are velocity wise now. And also just then on top of that, as you age, and then you use a strength and conditioning program as you age to work with basically your peak hormonal production through your high school and college years. You're just going to get more athletic and more explosive and more and faster and stronger. So you're in a great position and a great time in your career to jump on the 3x pitch and velocity program. It's going to train you through the drills to implement this load phase or this load component better, specifically also being able to hit an explosive triple extension for a front foot strike, and really hitting, working towards your top velocity, being able to reach your velocity goals. So you have all the information here on the site. If you have any other questions about the program, please let me know. But I would love to help you get started on it, and appreciate you sending your video.